Mike. Shalom Israel with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. This is the Monday night Monday night scripture breakdown class in Killeen, Texas. What we do with your Christian pastors are ill-equipped to do, which is teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to their culture and identity, according to the Bible. I mean, your Christian pastors got an agenda to have you deviate from your culture. I mean, to keep you a slave, to keep you docile. And that's why they're going to fight tooth and nail to stop us from teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans what's plainly in the Bible and what's obvious in the earth. You know what I mean? So we're going to do that. We had this class every Monday, you know what I mean, from 7 to 9. So if you got any questions, you can ask your questions online or in the room. I mean, we'll answer all your questions. If we don't have an answer, we'll just let you know we don't have your answer right now, but we'll come back and get it for you. I mean, which is another thing your Christian pastors they're too prideful to do. You know what I mean, they're liars. So instead of telling you they don't have the answer right now to make sure that they can give you the exact answer, they're going to make up something to try to, because the Christian pastors, you know what I mean, they want to exalt themselves, just like the Pharisees, just like what's his name? Caiaphas. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what got Christ, you know what I mean, slew and hung on a tree and lynched. I mean, where instead of stepping down from their office or admitting that they didn't have the wisdom or the brotherhood that Christ had, they said, what do we? If we leave them alone, then we're going to lose our seat. You know what I mean? That's just like your Christian pastors. That's exactly what your Christian pastors do. They'll rather tell you a lie and keep you docile just to keep their seat rather than tell you the truth so that we can get out of hell. You know what I mean? So if you got any questions online, go ahead, put them in the chat. You got any questions in the room? All right, no sweat. I'll wait until Itis or Gabar and any other brothers come in to revisit questions in the room. There was a question in the chat last week I want to address. We just ran out of time. Let me get, I believe it was 2 Samuel chapter 12. If I'm not mistaken, let me make sure. 2 Samuel chapter 12 and all right. Locking this up. Chapter 12 and verse 10. Let me know what that says.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 10. Now, therefore, the sword shall never depart from thine house.
That was it. All right. A sister asked a question in the chat last week about this chapter 12, verse 10 through 12. All right, go ahead. Or actually read read verse. Good night. All right, I'll just paraphrase it. I don't want to go too far off the top. Start at verse 7, and I'll give I'll get it back, bro. Go ahead.
Gone. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 7. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thou said, the Lord God of Israel, I anoint thee king of all over Israel, and I deliver thee out of the hand of Saul.
All right, so this is the prophet Nathan. This is Nathan talking to David, right? So he had given David a parable, you know what I mean, about I forget what the whole parable was. There was a rich man and a poor man, and one man, basically the poor man had nothing but one lamb, right? And the rich man had many lambs. And the rich man took the poor man's land, right? And Nathan asked him, he was like, "What would you have done to this man?" And David, he was angry. You read verse where we at?
7.
Verse 5 says, and David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. Meaning when he heard this parable, you know what I mean? He he gave, you know what I mean, when he heard this parable, he was angry. You know what I mean? His anger was kindled against this man. He was like, whoever this man is, you know what I mean? Uh he should be punished, he should surely die, and he should restore the lamb fourfold because he did this thing, because he had no pity on the poor man. And then Nathan revealed to him, thou art the man. Read that again, Baba Shah.
Verse 7. And Nathan saying to David, thou art the man.
King David, you know what I mean, he gave his judgment. He was like, this man, you know what I mean, he should lose his life because he had no pity on this poor man. And whatever he took from this poor man, he should return it fourfold. And Nathan revealed to him, he said, you're that man. The man that you just said should lose his life and should return what he has stolen fourfold. You are that man. Go ahead, read on.
Thus say the Lord God of Israel, I anoint thee king over Israel, and I deliver thee over the hands of Saul.
Now King David is being chastised because what he had done was completely evil, where he had committed adultery with the woman that belonged to another man. He had slept with the what was her name? I forget her name. It's something. It start with a B. I forget what it is. But he had slept with another man's wife, and he had also, because he wanted this man's wife and got her pregnant, he wanted to cover up his sin by. So he was going to tell Uriah, who was a loyal soldier to King David. He wanted to tell Uriah, like, "Hey, go home, sleep with your wife, man. We'll hold it down." And Uriah, being again that loyal soldier, everything to off the audio. Are you okay? Most on Christ, but Uriah, you know what I mean, being a loyal soldier, he was like, "No, I can't go home and have pleasure while my brothers is out here dying on the battlefield. They can't go home and you know what I mean, be with their families. Why would I? I can't go home and be with my family. I'll stay right here with you. You know what I mean? So then you know what I mean, he put Uriah on the front lines to you know what I mean, lose his life, and now he's being chastised for the evil that he had done. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 8. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom.
So King David had plenty. You know what I mean? He had plenty. So he had you know what I mean, no reason to go do what he did. Go ahead, read on.
And gave thee the house of Israel
Uh-huh.
and of Judah.
Uh-huh.
And if that had been too little, I will moreover have given unto thee such and such things.
So if you serve the Lord, well, I'm not gonna say that, but you know what I mean, you said if you don't have to, you know what I mean, steal what your brother has, you know what I mean? But that's what he's being chastised with. The Lord would have, you know what I mean, the Lord had given King David so much, and if it wasn't enough, he would have given him more. You know what I mean? That's what he's saying here. Drop down to verse 10. And this is what a question is.
Verse 10. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thy house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife.
The Hittite.
It's like a Hittite.
So the thing that he did was so evil and wicked. Now this is the judgment that's coming down. That's gonna come down on David. He said, "Now therefore the Salaki." He said, "Therefore, it's like read it again."
Verse 10. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thy house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife.
So now the sword shall never depart from thine house. You know what I mean? Go ahead, read on. You go ahead, read it all the way through verse 12.
Verse 11. Thus say the Lord, behold, I will rise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this sun.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 12. What thou didst it secretly, what I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun.
So this is the judgment that comes down. That's gonna come down on, or that had come down on King David. And you read, you know, what I mean, you read through the rest of this book, and you read through the rest of, you know, what I mean, King David's life and his family and all of that. You see that his family went through hell. You know what I mean, where his sons rose up against him and tried to, you know what I mean, they tried to raise up armies against them and fight against King David. Some of them lost their lives. One son had assaulted one of uh, one of his daughters. You know what I mean? It was his family was going through hell, man. So that's just Nathan prophesying the judgment that will come up on David for what he did. All right. So that's the answer to that question from last week. All right. Uh let's see. Now, okay, so tonight's the topic for tonight's class, unless there's any unless any questions or anything come up throughout, lesson for tonight's class is we're gonna talk about the shield of David, or the so-called what the world knows as the Star of David, or some would call ignorantly the uh, Star of Molech. You know what I mean, you look at you know what I mean, you see with this symbol, this signet, this signature that I got on my forehead, or the shield of David behind me. And you know what I mean, brothers and sisters, especially, you know what I mean, fake Christians or fake Israelites or blackity black, you know what I mean, fake woke people, you know what I mean, they'll look at this symbol and they say, oh, this is the Star of Molech. This is a Star of Molech. You know what I mean, that comes from you know what I mean, that comes from Christian dogma and just a lack of understanding in the Bible. And we're gonna get in the scriptures that not only is that not true, but there's no connection to the shield of David and the false god Molech, and there's no uh, connection to the shield of David to any paganism or satanic practices, which is another thing that they'll try to say. They'll see that us rocking the shield of David, and it's really kind of like a Hail Mary attempt to try to invalidate the things that we do in the ISUPK and invalidate, you know what I mean, the ISUPK being a home of the truth. It's really just kind of like a Hail Mary attempt because, like the scriptures say, you know what I mean, an evil tree can't bear good fruit and a good tree can't bear evil fruit. So you see the fruits that these brothers and sisters are bringing up in the ISUPK. You know what I mean? And the only way that you could think or speak evil of this organization is, you know what I mean, you just have to make something up because the works are there. So real quick, let me get Isaiah, I believe the 8th chapter. So like 28, Salakia. Isaiah 28. And 9, the ninth verse, Salakia.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
So who is going to understand these scriptures? Who is going to have knowledge in this earth? Go ahead, read on.
Them that are weaned from the milk
Uh-huh.
and drawn from the breast.
Them that are weaned from the milk. Who is weaned from the milk? And anybody in the chat can answer that question as well. But who is weaned from milk and drawn from the breast? And that's what if you understand this, then you'll understand the type of person that you would have to be in this school and the type of person that you would have to be if you aspire to be, you know what I mean, you know what I mean, if you aspire to grow or you aspire to have, you know what I mean, some rank or to be a priest or to, you know what I mean, if you aspire to understand your culture and be a good teacher, to be a good priest, this is what you got to understand. All right. Who's drawn from the breast or who's weaned from the milk? You want to give it a shot?
I would say the children.
God.
Yeah.
It's more specifically,
I mean, newborn children in
God,
Christ. Yeah.
babies.
Just like shit, just like Christ gave that parable to Nicodemus.
God.
Yeah, he gave Nicodemus. He didn't understand. You had to be born again. He told me you had to go back in the womb.
God. Yeah. Yeah. God. That's exactly right. And it's another one that he said too. I'm sure you're familiar with this one where Christ said, unless you become as little children,
Yeah,
you cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven.
right. So, okay.
So, but for you to be able to understand this Bible in our culture, you have to become like a child. You have to humble yourself just like a child, man. And uh, so, whom shall he make understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk, meaning you were a child and you were, you know what I mean, you were receiving milk. You know what I mean? When you're young in the truth, you are taught and you learn the milk first. You know what I mean? That's why you hear brothers in the ISUPK talk about milk scriptures, milk precepts, and milk top, you know what I mean? Things like that. There's topics that are milk and there are topics that are meat. But the problem with the Christian church and the problem with these blackity blacks and the your Muslim imams and your individualites and your your Christian Israelite groups and things like that is they want to jump right to the mysteries, which is why you got brothers saying, you know what I mean, you got brothers saying that this shield of David that I got on my head is a star of Molech because they have skipped the milk and they want to jump right into meat, into heavy topics, into heavy breakdowns that you can't understand without having the milk first. You know what I mean, but that's where that thing comes from, so that you don't get confused on those trivial things. If you don't, so you don't get confused by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. Like if you don't know, if you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't know the milk, which we're about to go through tonight, if you don't know the foundation and the origin of the shield of David, if somebody comes up to you and says that this is the star of Molech, and they go to that scripture in Amos the 5th chapter, and they show you, you're going to be discouraged. But that's why you need to understand milk and you need to understand the foundation. Let's get Hebrews the 5th chapter real quick in verse 12. You know what I mean? See, everybody's a teacher. Everybody in a moment, especially nowadays, and you know what I mean, in modern times, you know what I mean, where everybody's a social media influencer, everybody's on TikTok, everybody's a podcaster. You know what I mean? Anybody could open their phone and go live on Instagram and boom, now you're an influencer. You dumb as a box of rocks, but you're an influencer. You know what I mean? But everybody's a teacher, but nobody who taught you. You know what I mean? Who taught you the truth? Who taught you right from wrong? You know what I mean? Your Christian pastors who is, you know what I mean, just fiddling and diddling everybody that walks in and out that door. Who taught you? Your mother, who was a drug addict, and an alcoholic, and a promiscuous woman of ill repute. Who taught you? Your father, who was, you know what I mean, coddled by his mother, who was raised by his mother. He didn't have his father, and his father didn't have his father. He was coddled by his mother, who just protected him and babied him and emasculated him. And now, you know what I mean, you were raised by a man who only can solve problems with his emotions and not wisdom. You know what I mean? But everybody's a teacher. Now, with you were raised by drug addicts and, you know what I mean, what's it called? Promiscuous women and what's it called? Alcoholics and people, you know what I mean? Your father was in and out of jail, or you know what I mean, you name it. You know what I mean? You have to be taught again. You know what I mean? So that you can have the wisdom to be a teacher, so that you can not destroy lives like the people who taught you destroyed yours. Go ahead, read what you got.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, verse 12. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again.
Teach you when?
Teach you again.
See, teach you again. Someone has to teach you again, because again, you were taught lies. You were taught, you know what I mean, by a drug addict and a drug dealer and a criminal and a thief and a robber and a alcoholic. and a promiscuous woman and an LGBTQ member. You were taught by the Christian church. So someone has to teach you again. Go ahead.
which be the first principles of the oracle of God,
All right, go ahead.
and or become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat.
See, there's that milk again. Like the sister said, and she's actually absolutely correct. Babies are weaned from the breast, for weaned from milk. You know what I mean? So you got to become just like a child, and and you know what I mean. Before you could be a teacher, you first have to be taught. You know what I mean, and receive this milk, so that when people tell you, and we gonna find out. And I'm gonna put it on the screen as well. Look up the definition of star, because we the whole on topic we're talking about the star, the so-called the shield of David, or what the world would ignorantly call the Star of David or the Star of Molech. Both are incorrect. I know the Star of David sounds a little bit more accurate, but that's incorrect as well. We're about to get why. All right, so you got that definition on your phone? I'm gonna pull it up on the. I'm gonna share it on my screen. You can read it whenever you got it. Star, just star. The word star. And this is well you'll see. I'll explain when you get the first. It should be a couple definitions. See what I could pull up. I got it. I don't know if you can see. You probably can't see that from here, can you? Okay, no slip. No slip first. You just read the. You can start with the first definition. So this is the definition of star according to, uh, I believe, what is it, Google, and yeah. Okay, you go ahead, read on.
Uh, the definition of star is a fixed luminous point in the night sky, which is a large, remote, incandescent body like the sun.
Right. So this is the first definition of star. So when you think of star, this is talking about those things, those lights that you see in the sky. You know what I mean? Like the sun. The sun is just a large star. You know what I mean? All right. So that's the first definition. Now again, we talking about somebody if they're not educated, if they don't understand, you know what I mean, if they don't understand this Bible and our culture, you know what I mean, your Christian pastors or some, you know what I mean, some individual light or some quote unquote woke person, you know what I mean, they'll tell you, oh, that's you know what I mean, this is the star of Molech. Well, what's a star? You know what I mean? A star is a fixed luminous point in the night sky, right? Like the sun. Is this a is this a luminous thing in the night sky? No, right? So that's why the Star of David and Star of Molech saying those things is incorrect. And this is the first thing, right? Because again, the Christian you know what I mean, this Bible is, or being a priest is one of the most disrespected professions in this earth, where you can pick up, anybody can just pick up this Bible and then read John 3:16, and now you just a biblical expert. You know what I mean? You have unlocked all the mysteries of all things in the entire world that have ever existed, and you can just open your Christian church and have, you know what I mean, have all sorts of people listen to you. You know what I mean? Same with, you know what I mean, social media. You can just get up. We treat the Bible like social media, where if you we treat the Bible just like having a cell phone. Well, all you need to be a social media influencer is just to have a phone. All you need nowadays to be a pastor is just to have a Bible. You ain't even got to open the Bible. Just have money to get a church and then get you a suit, and boom, you're a Christian pastor. You know what I mean? It don't work like that though. And it's so easy to, you know what I mean, cut Christians because they don't read this Bible. You know what I mean? They don't read and understand this Bible. Nobody taught them. You know what I mean? So this is the first thing you got to do. You know what I mean? Just do a little research. That's the first thing you got to do, so that you're not fooled by the lies that you know what I mean, that's so that's so common in this earth. All right, so this knocks that out. So a star is a fixed luminous point in the night sky, which is a large remote incandescent body like the sun. All right, this ain't that. This ain't what we just read in definition one. How about definition two? All right, let's see what that's talking about.
The star definition two, a conventional or
Like,
a conventional or stylized representation of a star, typically one having five or more points.
so the second definition is a conventional or stylized representation of a star. So if you wanted to, you know what I mean, if I know when you was in kindergarten, I mean, you did a lot of doodling, you might have some kids and they do a lot of drawing. When they want to draw something that represents what they can see in the night sky, they draw that little shape with the where it says at the end it says typically having five or more points. So that's why when you see kids drawing stars, they draw that 5 point figure. You know what I mean? That's how children depict stars. You know what I mean? That's why any Joe off the block, when they see this, or anybody who's just learning about their culture, they see the shield of David, or this probably be a better representation behind me. When they see that signature behind me, you know what I mean? They'll ignorantly call it the Star of David, where in reality, that's the shield of David. Like it's so common, it's such a common misconception that if you want to find a shield of David, a lot of times you got to type in Star of David. Whether you looking up something on Amazon or Google, you got to type in Star of David to get what you're looking for. That's because the world, you know what I mean, ignorantly calls this shape a star because that's a shape that we draw to depict what we see in the night sky. But that's not a star. I mean, that's just something we created to try to depict something like the sun or something in the night sky. But let's see what the verb star or verb the hell. Uh Okay, I see how it could be a verb, depending on how it's used, but it's not important. You know what I mean? Let's see that these last couple definitions. All right, go ahead, read that when you got it.
Star is a verb using the verb content is a of a movie, play, or other show. Have someone have a principal performance.
Someone as a
Principal.
principal performer regarding a movie, play, or other show. So a top performer. You know what I mean? Somebody who is, you know what I mean? Somebody who is, what's the word? Let's see. The kind somebody like a key performer or an actor, a key player rather, and that's going to be very important. You know what I mean? A chief representation of something. You see movie stars like it's important to note that in the definition it said where is it? I just lost it. What the hell? Oh, here it is. Uh, of a movie, play, or other show. You got that? But of a movie, play, or other show. You know what I mean? You look at you know what I mean, who we call stars today. You know what I mean? When we and it's so funny, again, like the men above me always say, never forget what you already learned. It's like, let me give these brothers a second. I mean, if you watching online while we giving these brothers a second to get back in here, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the class. You know what I mean? Again, type your questions in the chat if you got any questions. You know what I mean? Let's get this algorithm up. Make sure you know what I mean, so we can push this truth. Hey, y'all, Bashim Yao Shabrakta. But like the men above me always say, never forget what you know trying to learn something new. You know what I mean? So when you're when again when some you know what I mean, some blackity black or some woke, somebody who thinks that they woke, they say, oh, this is the star of Molech. You know what I mean? Don't forget what a star is. You know what I mean? We call little people like Lil Wayne a star. You know what I mean? We call performers stars. We call actors and actresses, Robert Downey Jr. and Beyonce and you know what I mean, Angela Bassett. Who? Let me get some modern ones. Well, we that's who we call star. We call Kendrick Lamar a star, Kanye West a star. You know what I mean? Kyrie Irving, LeBron James. We call them stars. You know what I mean? Stars stars are either balls of gas according to the definition that we looked up, and they're people. You know what I mean? This is just, or the not this, but the star that you see on paper with 5 or more points, that's just a stylized representation of what we can perceive that's in the night sky. But when you're reading the Bible, a star is either a person or it is a ball of gas in the sky. All right. Neither one of those are, you know what I mean, neither one of those are what I have on my crown or behind me. You know what I mean? What you see behind me, let me make sure what you see behind me on the wall, that's not a person hanging on the wall. You know what I mean? That's not a rock star or a rap star. You know what I mean? That's not a movie star or, you know what I mean, an athletic star. And it's not a ball of gas in the sky. Most High Christ. A shalom, believe it's Ariel. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Uh but where you what zone you in? What area in the world are you living in right now? You know what I mean? Said you want to be a part of the school, you know what I mean? No, no, the Shield of David. Let me know what zone you in or what city, state, or country you live in, and then we could get you connected from there, all right? But where was I? Salakia. But what you see behind me, that's not a person plastered up on the wall, and that's not what you look up in the night sky and see. That's not the sun behind me. You know what I mean, that is a signature. So let's get the book of Amos, chapter 5, and I believe let's start around verse 24. Let's see what that says. Let me get there with you. Amos chapter 5, verse 24. 26. Actually, since you know, what I mean, since we in the holiday season, where's the I know it's in this chapter. Uh, I hate, I despise your feast days. What is that? 21. Let's start at 21. The water.
The book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 21. I hate, I despise your feast days.
Uh-huh. I hate, I despise whose feast days?
Your feast days.
Your feast days. That's the key word, and that's what your Christian pastor will miss. See, because again, since you know, what I mean, your Christian pastors weren't taught. They were not taught by teachers. You know what I mean? They were not taught by the prophets. You know what I mean? They picked up this Bible and made themselves Christian pastors. You know what I mean? They learned from their oppressor. They had to get permission from their oppressor to be Christian pastors, to be overlords, to be overseers over blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans and teach us lies. You know what I mean? So when they read this Bible, they say they see I hate and despise your feast days. They don't think about Thanksgiving. They don't think about Christmas and what's it called? Halloween. They don't think about New Year's and what's it called? 4th of July and all those different things that we gonna we gonna be all Black Lives Matter and all of that. But then once it's time for your oppressor to celebrate their dominion over you, then we're gonna be right there with them barbecuing ribs and hamburgers and all of that. You know what I mean? So when your Christian pastor sees I hate and despise your feast days, they have to, for them to believe that for them to believe that Thanksgiving is wrong, they have to explicitly see Thanksgiving in the Bible. They have to specifically see Christmas in the Bible for them to believe that it's evil. That's why, you know what I mean? That's why they'll continue, you know what I mean, to be confused. But this is saying, I despise your feast days. So the things that you choose, you know what I mean? We know that Thanksgiving is evil. We know that you ask anybody who ate that turkey, you know what I mean, a couple weeks ago in November, you know what I mean, who was slicing up that nasty ham. You know what I mean? We know that it's evil, and Thanksgiving is the origin is in genocide, but what do we say? We say, "Oh, I know it's evil, but to me, it means this, and this is what it means to me. And when I get together, this is what it means for me." And same with you know, what I mean, the 4th of July. I know, you know, what I mean, this. I know we was slaves in 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed. But to me, it's just a day for me to get together with my family. And what you don't realize, so like it a sidebar, but what you don't realize is that's a slave ass response. That's a slave answer for that's exactly what a slave would say. I know that it's evil, and I know that we're celebrating, you know what I mean, our person's independence, and they ain't got nothing to do with us. But for me, this is just the time for me to, you know what I mean, get together with my family because this is the day that my slave master gives me off. You know what I mean? That's what a slave would say. But just wanted to get that just to get a little context. It says, I despise your feast days. Go ahead.
Gonna come. Not smell your solemn assemblies.
And the Most High, he hates your feast days, and he's not that turkey, that candy yam, and all of that. He's not pleased to smell all of that. He is not pleased to, you know what I mean, that you're down here, you know what I mean. He's not pleased that you're down here celebrating the genocide of your own people, or that you're celebrating the day that you were in captivity. You know what I mean? He's not pleased that you celebrating, you know what I mean, all of the pagan Roman customs, you know what I mean, that they pushed on you, you know what I mean, in America. He's not pleased to see all of that. Now go ahead, drop down to verse 26.
Verse 26. But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch.
So you have borne, instead of doing what the Most High told you to do, instead of serving the Most High and keeping His customs that He gave you and keeping His law, statutes, and commandments that's supposed to put you above all people upon the face of the earth. Instead of doing those things, we did what? Read that again.
But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch.
We have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch. The tabernacle is a house of worship. We've borne the tabernacles of Moloch. Right? Go ahead.
And Chun, your images.
Your images, right? We have borne Moloch, which is a false idol, and Chian, your images, comma, because this is what you're another thing. When you got the Christianity glasses on, you miss a lot of things in this Bible that are very important, right? So it says, Chian your images, comma, go ahead.
The star of your God.
The what?
The star.
See what you okay? So there's that word star. So according to the Bible, like we talked about before, so a star can only be one or two things. It can either be a ball of gas in the sky, and we're going to get a couple of examples as well to prove that point. But it's either a ball of gas in the sky, like the sun, or it's a person. Now, is Chian a ball of gas in the sky? Chian is a person. Go ahead.
26.
So just like in Christianity, where Christianity, you know what I mean, is the religion, the practice that we keep, that we uphold in America. Who is the star of Christianity? That's a question for anybody to answer. Good night. What the hell? Like you had your hand up. I already know you. I already know you know. It's a lot. You know what I mean? But who is? I gotta figure out where the hell this is coming from. Salaki. Right. But Chin is to Chin is to Molech what Christian what okay, well, I'll just wait for let's see who got the answer. Who is the star of Christianity? This brother right here got it. I ain't gonna put it on the screen yet. I'm gonna give some brothers and sisters some time, but that brother got it spot right on. This brother, young man Raphael, says Caesar Borgia. The Chin is what Caesar Borgia is to Christianity. Caesar Borgia is the star of Christianity. That white Jesus that you see on every mantelpiece in every black home and in every black church. You know what I mean? And on every Jesus piece that Kanye and all the rap stars like to wear. You know what I mean? In the you know what I mean, the athletes and the you know what I mean like to wear. You know what I mean? That is God, the sister, you know what I mean? The sister said the same thing. Jesus is the star of Christianity. Now, if you don't know, Jesus is or what you see rather what's like it? Let me correct myself. Jesus uh the depiction of Jesus, that would be the more accurate answer because Jesus Christ is a black man from the tribe of Judah. But the image that they put up in our minds and the image that they put up in that Christian church, that white Jesus would be the star of Christianity. That's Chin. Chin is what white Jesus is to Christianity. Chin is the image, the star of your God. Go ahead.
which ye made to yourselves.
Which ye made to yourselves. See, what we did is we needed something that we could see so that we could worship it. You know what I mean? We needed something that we could touch and bow down in front of. You know what I mean? Serving the Most High, who you know what I mean parted the Red Sea and delivered the Hebrews out of the land of Egypt. That wasn't enough for us. We had to, you know what I mean. So to the point where you know what I mean Moses went up the mountain and came back down and we was building a golden calf. You know what I mean, we was melting down all the gold and all the things that we had into an idol that we can touch and we can see. You know what I mean? Because we're a carnal and vain people. So we make these images to ourselves. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, just like so we took we usually took somebody who was very famous, you know what I mean, a person like for example since Christmas right around the corner, what's his name? Nimrod, right? So we took Nimrod, who was a mighty, he was a, I believe he was a Hamite, who was a mighty warrior. You know what I mean? He was very skilled at war, and he was very much feared by a lot of people. He died, and you know what I mean. His wife, who was also his mother, you know what I mean, propped up his image and made him a god, right? And said that he was buried under this evergreen tree. He was buried under this evergreen tree. And for you to, you know what I mean, everybody was required to bring Nimrod a gift on his birthday. Otherwise, you would lose your life and your head would be hung on that tree. Now, anybody want to tell me what day, what's Nimrod's birthday? Given that custom, you were supposed to come and bring your gift and put it under an evergreen tree on this man's birthday. And if you didn't, your head was hung on that tree to be an ornament for any other anybody else who wasn't able to or refused to continue to serve Nimrod after his death. But what was Nimrod's birthday? Anybody just give it a wild guess based on what I said, based on that custom that I just described. What was Nimrod's birthday? But that's just one of many gods that we chose for ourselves. We made to ourselves. We made Nimrod a god. You know what I mean? We made Baal is another one. Baal was a he was a farmer who lived. You know what I mean? And he was such a good farmer that when he died, we started to pray to Baal. We we would pray to Baal to have our crops grow, to be prosperous like he was. Kind of sister, right on it again. Nimrod's birthday was Christmas. You know what I mean? Your Christian pastors would like you to believe that Jesus Jesus Christ, you know what I mean, who was a black man, his birthday was on December 25th. That's not true at all. You know what I mean? We can get many precepts on that, but you know what I mean, I don't want to get off topic. But Nimrod Nimrod's birthday was on December 25th. That's why all those practices revolve around him. All the practices that we keep during Christmas revolve around him. You know what I mean? That's why you got that evergreen tree that he was buried under. That's why you got the ornaments on the tree. You know what I mean? That's why instead of just buying your children a gift and handing it straight to them like a normal, you know what I mean, like a normal person, you know what I mean? You got to be a psychopath. You got to buy the gift, wrap it up, put it under this tree, pretend some fat white man is coming down the chimney to put that gift under that tree, and then have your kids unwrap it and have some oppressor to take credit for it, like a psychopath. I mean, that's why we do all those things that don't make sense. It's because of the customs of the gods that we made to ourselves. I mean, it's no different from Caesar Borgia and Baal and Nimrod and Chian. You know what I mean? Let me get Salaki. And that's the same thing for Refran as well, too. I believe I can't remember exactly where it's at, but you know you came to the right class, J Love. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're a brother or sister. You gotta you know what I mean, make yourself known. But you came to the right class because we're breaking that down right now. We just read it. You know what I mean? You would have to prove you said that the you would have to you said that the Star of David, we just I'm gonna do this for you, brother. Or well, I'm gonna assume that I don't want to assume what you are or who you are, you know what I mean? But as a matter of fact, we're sharing the screen right now. There go the definitions of stars, right? There go the definitions of star. A star is either a luminous point in the night sky, like the sun, or it is a person. It is of a movie, play, or other show, someone as a principal performer, a chief representation of something, to have a principal role in a movie, play, or other show, a person performing brilliantly and prominently in a particular endeavor or event. I mean, that's what we're breaking down right now. So for you to call this a Star of David, you already off on the wrong foot. It's not a Star of David. This is not a star because this is not a person and this is not a ball of gas in the sky. You know what I mean? But I mean, I pray you understand. You know what I mean? It's okay not to know things sometimes. I didn't know this before I came into the ISUPK, but that's why I'm telling you. I'm just telling you as a brother. This is not a star. This is a shield of David. We're gonna get some more of where this shield of David comes from. But the reason why we think that it's a shield or we think it's a star is because of the misunderstanding of Amos, the 5th chapter, and the 26th verse, where we read, "Cheeing your images, the star of your God," and we think of so we read that and we think that I just don't see the correlation. I don't see the correlation of how what does this got to do with the shield? Where do you see the word David or anywhere in this verse? I mean, you just don't. And there you won't what you'll find is that you won't find any correlation to the shield of David to any paganism or any it to Molech or Rifran or any of those things. But you will see the correlation to the children of Israel. You will see the correlation to our, you know what I mean, in our on our garments, where you look at some Native American garments still to this day, they got fringes that sweep the floor. You know what I mean? They at them powwows, you see them, you know what I mean? They got the fringes on the borders of their garments, on the borders of blue. You know what I mean? You won't see any correlation to the shield of David and to Molech or to Chian or to Rifran or to any false god, but you will see it pertaining to the children of God. You know what I mean? You see on their garment, on the same garments that got the fringes that sweep the floor on the border of blue, you'll see on that same garment the shield of David. You know what I mean? You'll see on on what's it called, on ancient artifacts, the Temple of Capernaum, the ruins of the Temple of Capernaum, the what's it called, the Los Lunas Decalogue stones, the where you'll find the ancient Hebrew, the what's it called, the Salakia. I just had one off the top of my head. I just lost it. The what's it called, the Ark of the Covenant. That was the one. See, on the Ark of the Covenant and the things therein. You know what I mean? You'll see on all those you'll see in all those things, you will see the shield of David and that they pertain to the children of Israel. You know what I mean? All right. Let's go to Salakia. Salakia. Get Wisdom of Solomon 13 real quick. Wisdom of Solomon 13 and verse 2. Actually, we probably start at verse 1. Let me see what that say. Wisdom of Solomon. Let me see what verse 1 say real quick. 13. Yeah, you can start at verse 1.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature.
And this is what I don't understand. Well, I do understand. Oh, here we go. Well, you would just have to show me. You just have to show me. You know what I mean? I see you talking a lot. I don't think you heard anything I said. But no sweat. Go ahead, Root. You got.
Khan, who are ignorant of God.
So vain are all men by nature. We are a vain people. You know what I mean? Instead of just, you know what I mean, you can see all the artifacts, you can see all the garments, you can see all the temples, the temple ruins, you can see all the scriptures that we're about to still go into tonight. You know what I mean? We could break it down from top to bottom all we want to, but you still got brothers who refuse to, even though there's no proof that there's a correlation to the shield of David and to like you see how this, well, we still call it a star. This brother's still calling it a star in the chat. You know what I mean? We just broke down that this is a shield. This is a star, is a person or a ball of gas. But you know what I mean? That just shows, read that from the top again.
Khan, surely vain are all men by
I
nature.
mean, we are very vain. Go ahead.
Who are ignorant of God and could not like it and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is. Neither by considering the works did they knowledge of the workmaster.
So instead of acknowledging the Most High who made all things and created all things, we don't we don't acknowledge the Most High. Rather that we do. Go ahead, reverse 2.
Verse 2. But deem it either fire or wind, or the swift air, or the circle of the stars,
or the what,
or the circles of the stars,
or the 6-pointed of the stars,
or the circles of the stars.
What shape are stars?
Circle.
The circle of the stars. So this behind me cannot be a star of anything, brother. This can't be a star of anything. A star is circular, brother. You know what I mean? But instead of crediting the Most High, you know what I mean, for all the, you know what I mean, the works that happened on this earth, you know what I mean, we credit fire or wind. We credit the things that he created. You know what I mean? He created the fire and the wind, the swift air, or the circle of the stars. But that's why Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we so hell bent on what's it called? Your horoscope, or your what's it called? Your zodiac sign. You know, what they call them, star signs. You know what I mean? Because rather than crediting the Most High for, you know what I mean, for creating us, for creating us in the way that he created us and giving us the wisdom and understanding and the skills and the gifts that we have, we credit the fact that you was born in February, or the fact that you was born in June. You know what I mean? The fact that your parents, you know what I mean, the fact that your parents had sex on New Year's, and now You know what I mean? 9 months later, you were born. You know what I mean? That's how vain we are. You know what I mean? That's how vain we continue to be. Go ahead, read on.
or the violent water,
Uh-huh.
or the lights of
Or
heaven,
the lights of heaven, the circle of the stars. Go ahead.
to be the gods which govern the world.
So I got a question for anybody who still believes that this is a star of Molech. I want you to explain how can this be a star when where it just said in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 13 and verse 2, the stars are circles. I just want you to explain to me how this 6 point what you would call a star, this 6 point shield of David, how can this be a star? How can this be a star when the scripture just said the stars are circular? Whenever you got an answer for that, just you know what I mean, feel free to put that in the chat. All right. And I see a lot of times as well, hey Yabashkata, a lot of times as well, you know what I mean? Again, because like we brought out in the book of Isaiah, the 28th chapter, you know what I mean, you gotta be taught. You know what I mean, the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, you know what I mean, you gotta be taught again. You gotta learn the milk first, and then you can understand more heavy topics like you know what I mean, the shield of David not being the star of Molech or how stars are circular. You know what I mean? But first you gotta learn the milk, brother. You know what I mean? But because we credit, you know what I mean, we credit because we don't get taught, we don't get we don't come to where the priests and prophets are to learn the Bible, you know what I mean, because we don't respect the profession of being a priest and a prophet, you know what I mean, we just pick up this Bible and we just read Star of Molech in the Bible and we just run with it. You know what I mean? And I also see that there's a lot of talk about you know what I mean, Jews as well in relation to the shield of David. You know what I mean? Do you not realize, or we're gonna get into it as well, but do you not realize that the reason why, as a matter of fact, let's get into it right now. So like you had something, second Ezra
Yeah.
chapter 10. You go ahead.
Yeah. A lot of times people politicize or twist the words in the Bible to
Con,
suit their own means.
con,
That's why you have to have a proper judgment or pray for discernment, like a Christian might say. You're going to need to actually sit, but take a step back from what you've been taught and see what the Bible is actually talking about. People
right,
who hate Jewish people, other white people who hate Jewish people, have lied on what is now known as the Star of David, and they say that it's a pagan symbol or something like that. When the
right,
Bible never says that,
right.
the Bible says that the Star of Moloch is literally something in the sky people used to pray and worship to, kind of like those sisters with the crystal balls in the horoscopes. So like you.
Right now. Con. That's all we're trying to teach you today. You know what I mean? The simple things that are in this Bible, but we've never read these things. We've never seen these things and actually digested these things, you know what I mean, like children, because we weren't taught. So I don't fault, you know what I mean? I don't fault any brother or sister that doesn't know these things, you know what I mean, that want to fight tooth and nail. But, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, once you do learn the truth and once you see these scriptures that we about to bring out and we do break it down, what the star of Molech is and what it is not, what the shield of David is and what it is not, the difference between uh what a star is and what is not a star. You know what I mean, if you still feel the need to hang on to your delusions, you know what I mean, then that's just something that you gotta be responsible for anyway. But my question to you was, how is this a star? What's behind me? How is this a star when we just read in the Wisdom of Solomon 13 and 2 that the stars are circular? That's the question. So I just want you to answer that question. I want to see if you can focus and I mean teach me something. You're telling me that that this is a star of David. You keep saying star when I keep on trying to correct you and say it's a shield. You keep saying star. So since you're hell bent on this being a star, tell me how this 6 point figure that you're saying is pagan is a star in the first place when the stars are circular. Just tell me that. And then, you know what I mean, maybe we can move from there. But if you can't tell me that, then your argument is pretty much, you know what I mean, collapsing in on itself. And you should just learn you should just before you try to understand heavy matters like this, you should learn the milk first. Go ahead, read what you got. Second Ezra 10, and you can start at verse 22. Let me get there with you. You go ahead, read it. Let me get there with you.
The book of Second Ezra, chapter 10, verse 22.
Uh-huh.
Our, what is it?
Verse 21.
Oh,
It's like it. That was my bad.
the book of Second Ezra, chapter 10, verse 21. But thou seest that our sanctuary is laid waste,
Uh-huh.
our altar broken down, our temple destroyed.
So this is the context. So our altars are broken down, our sanctuaries are laid waste, our temple is destroyed. Our people and our, the thing that we saw valuable and the thing that the Most High, that we saw valuable because they represented something that the Most High gave us. Those things were destroyed. The things that we are, the places where we taught our culture, the thing that where we kept our feast days and our practices, rather than keeping the feast days and the customs of our oppressor. Those things was torn down. Our cities were destroyed. This is describing a time where, the things that we love were destroyed and we went into captivity. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 22. Our psaltery is laid on the ground.
Our psaltery is laid on the ground. A psaltery is like a musical instrument. A psaltery is laid on the ground. Go ahead.
Our song is put to silence.
Our song is put to silence. There's no reason for us to sing and dance and celebrate because we're going through a difficult time. We're going through a time of mourning because again, our enemies have conquered us because we get time and time again. You'll see in this Bible that we've chosen our oppressor, we've chosen their gods and their images and their customs. You know what I mean? And every time we do, we end up slaves and in captivity to them, and they destroy our things. And that's what you see in here. Go ahead.
Our rejoicing is at the end.
Our rejoicing is at an end. Go ahead.
The light of our candlestick is put out.
The light of our candlestick is put out. You know what I mean? When our oppressors, you know what I mean, they get a hold of, like you read in the book of Maccabees, you know what I mean, we get overtaken by our oppressor, you know what I mean, they destroy everything. They take our the candlestick. They described this exact same thing in the book of Maccabees, and it's happening here again. Go ahead.
The ark of our covenant is spoiled.
Go ahead.
Our holy things are defiled.
And the holy things are defiled. Go ahead. The candlestick, the menorah is a holy thing. You know what I mean? As part of our customs. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
And the name that is called upon us is almost profound.
In the name of Israel, you know what I mean? We profound. Like you it's we don't want to be called Israelites. You know what I mean? You you know what I mean, you go and become you could be a Christian and go open a Christian church. You can be the biggest, the greatest you know what I mean, Christian pastor, the biggest LGBTQ member, you know what I mean, the biggest dare I say, what's the word? That's not gonna get it shut down. Sexual deviant in the entire earth. You know what I mean? And guess what? No one's gonna shame you. They're going to cover you. They're gonna try to hide you. They're gonna tell you if a child comes up and says, "Oh, Uncle such and such did this, that, and the third to me," they're gonna be like, "Hush your mouth." You know what I mean, keep that. Don't tell that to nobody. Keep that keep that in our family. You know what I mean? But let you decide that you want to get in all black and you learn. You want to let you get in all black and come into ISUPK and learn your culture and identity according to the Bible. Let you say Christ is a black man. You know what I mean? Let you learn the truth about who you are and call yourself an Israelite. You know what I mean? Your family is going to come up against you. See, no one's going to come up against you for being a Christian. No one's going to come up against you for being a Muslim, even though that's a custom that belongs to you know what I mean, the who is that? The Arabs. You know what I mean? No one's gonna come up against you for celebrating Thanksgiving when you're celebrating the genocide of Native Americans. No one's gonna come up against you for that. You know what I mean? No one's gonna come up against you for celebrating the 4th of July when you're celebrating the captivity of black people, black Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna come up against you for joining the military or the police force who enslave blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know what I mean? No one's gonna come up against you for coming across the border to try to get a better life for your family and then become a part of the border patrol to keep people just like you out. No one's going to come up against you for doing those things, but let you put a shield of David around your neck and on your crown. You know what I mean? Let you represent your people. And now you're gonna find yourself with all types of enemies. You know what I mean? There's all types of people. You know what I mean? No matter where you go, you're gonna find yourself with all types of enemies. You know what I mean? This chat is full of enemies right now. You know what I mean? What you when you finally decide to stand up for your culture and your identity, you're gonna find yourself with enemies, man. Our name was profane. So like you go and read on.
Come to come. And our children are put to shame. Our priests are burnt.
Uh-huh.
Our Levites are gone into the
The
captivity.
Levites are going into captivity. The Levites were the ones that inherited the duty of being a priest. You know what I mean? They were put into captivity. Go ahead.
Our virgins are defiled.
Uh-huh.
And our wives
Ravished.
ravished.
See, this is what we go through, you know what I mean, under the captivity of our oppressor. You know what I mean? These are the things that we go through right now where, you know what I mean, if you can find a woman that's untouched, you know what I mean, or hasn't been abused as a child or abused in her adult life or hasn't sold herself on the stripper pole or on OnlyFans, you know what I mean, you would be, you know what I mean, that is very rare, if not impossible to find. You know what I mean? Our sisters are destroyed. Our sisters are ravaged. Our wives are ravaged. You know what I mean? Just like how, you know what I mean? Just like in our captivity, in our American captivity, you know what I mean? Where your oppressor was able to have his way with your, you know what I mean, with our women, with our children, you know what I mean, with the even the strong men in our you know what I mean, in our households. Go ahead.
Our righteous man carried away.
Our righteous men carried away. Go ahead.
Our little ones destroyed.
Uh-huh.
Our young men are brought into bondage.
Right.
And our strong men are become weak.
So our young men are going into bondage and our strong men are become weak. Where our you know what I mean, our strong men are, you know what I mean, are the ones who are supposed to lead. You know what I mean, the black man is supposed to be the backbone of Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. That's supposed to be the ones that lead families and raise up the children and to hold on to the standards that and the you know what I mean, these law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us, that holds on to this culture and makes sure it gets passed down to our children. You know what I mean, and so on and so forth. So we never lose our seat as rulers on this earth, so that we never end up in captivity and experience this sad time that we're reading about right here in Second Edges. You know what I mean, but our strong men have become weak. Go ahead. And this is why when you see the shield of David, you automatically think, who do you automatically think of? You think of the so-called the small hat man. Go ahead, please.
Salakia priest, what you're bringing out is so heavy too, because this precept is Black and Hispanic people today. Our strong men have become weak. Our men are so weak today that we lie or capitulate behind women to try to get a piece of a woman's body, you know, or we just do it to try to think that we are elevated in mind or body and spirit more. Oh yeah, a woman should have her body, her choice. XYZ. She had a choice before she actually had, you know, was about to, you know, have that baby. But now men are so weak that men are going to bat for women's ability to murder their babies. Men are going to bat, men are transgenders, men are fighting for transgender roles and things like that because they are misled and their spirit is weakened into thinking that that is the proper course for the Black community when that is the exact wrong direction. Our name is dragged through the mud, and Black women, because of their emotions, whatever their whim is at the moment, maybe it is money, maybe it is attention or fame or something like that, maybe it's the celebrating Christmas, or you're not worshiping the God that she thinks you should worship at that moment, whether it be chakras, celestial bodies like stars, or anything else of that matter. She maybe you're not celebrating that properly, so now you'll bend the knee to this woman in her sick mentality. That's the weakness of men.
Right.
Men, it is your responsibility as a Black man in this society not to be weak behind the ideals of somebody who isn't Black and a man like you.
Right.
You understand what I mean? That means if a white man told you that star is that symbol behind that brother, that teacher on the stage right now, If he told you that that symbol is a star of Molech, you should look at that white man or that white woman or whoever told you that, and look at them with a degree or a modicum of like disbelief. You
Right.
shouldn't believe them.
Right.
You should be like, well, let me just read that for myself.
Right.
Let me see something. Let me get some evidence for myself. You shouldn't be taking in everything from everybody other than you. That's weak. That's what a weak man does. And that's why our women are, like the precept is saying, our women are ravished. You can't have a woman now, and you can't even talk about a woman's body count.
Right.
A body count back in the day was two, one, zero.
Right.
You're supposed to be zero if you a young enough man. Then it was one if her husband died, and if it was two, it was like, dang, she was must have been real young when she got married. But that's what it used. Now you can't even bring up body count, or you're a misogynist,
Right.
brother. You're weak. You're weak. That this is what brothers and sisters need to come back to. Because if you're weak, your women are ravished. If you're weak, your culture falls. That symbol is a symbol of your culture, and now the heathen have taken it. Salakia.
Right. Absolute. Give him a hand. What he said was the absolute truth, man. You know what I mean? If your oppressor tells you that the symbol of your culture, you know what I mean, the symbol of your people is evil or the star of Molech, you should look at them with some disbelief because they're the reason why you're in captivity in the first place. This brother J Love, he brings up you know what I mean, the Jewish man often, you know what I mean, he's been bringing up the Jewish man often, you know what I mean, in regards to the Magan Dawada, which means shield of David in the Hebrew. You know what I mean? And he's absolutely right to do so. You know why? Because they're the nation of people who are responsible for your captivity. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right on that. You know what I mean? But think about why, consider why the shield of David, the Magan Dawada, is in their possession in the first place. Think about that. Because they profane your holy things. They took the light from they put out the light in your candlestick and they spoiled the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I mean? They defiled your holy thing. They destroyed you as a people. You know what I mean? They the ones who came and pillaged the Native Americans and got you celebrating the genocide of your own people on the third Thursday of November and got you celebrating Christmas. You know what I mean? They're the reason why. So you know what I mean, for the brother, you know what I mean, for the brother in the chat to relate the shield of David to the Jews, you know, to fake Jewish man, you know what I mean? He's absolutely. I understand why you would do something like that. It's because they're the reason for your suffering and for your pain. But what you do, what you can't forget at all, you know what I mean, is that that doesn't belong to them. It belongs to you, black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man. Go ahead, read the verse 23. So we just got done reading about all the different things. And another Slacky, before I move on, the brother said, if a black man told you a cross is pagan, you should look at them with disbelief. Brother, I just want you to answer. Huh? I want you to answer this one question for me. You know what I mean? This is going right to my point, brother. If you can understand this, then you will have a breakthrough. Where does the cross come from? Where did the cross come from? What was the cross used for? You know what I mean? Well, no, I'll go ahead and tell you. I'll go ahead and accelerate your breakthrough. The cross was a Roman execution tool. It's a Roman method of torture and capital punishment. That's why Christ was lynched on a cross. You know what I mean? And he wasn't the only one to go on a cross. You know what I mean? That was just a common method of Roman. It was a common Roman torture device. So you know what I mean? That's like if your father had died because he was a crackhead. You know what I mean? You walk around, you wear a crack pipe on your shirt because he died, right, to remember him because he died on the crack pipe. Or if somebody you know what I mean, somebody hung him on a tree, he was lynched. Like we still get lynched today, like our oppressor lynches us today. Or how to you know what I mean, during the Holocaust, you know what I mean, how them I think, what was it, Polish, Danish, or whatever, they went into, you know what I mean, they was putting them furnace and gassed and burned alive and all of that. You wear an oven around your neck. You know what I mean? So if a black man tells you that you should not, well, I'll let you tell me. If you know what I mean, You tell me, you know what I mean? If your son or your daughter, you know what I mean, lost their life like Tamir Rice, he lost their life to the you know what I mean, the policeman's 45. You know what I mean? Should you wear a 45 around your neck? And then you tell me whether you should be wearing a cross around your neck. You know what I mean? Our King Christ was lynched on that cross. So you're not doing him any justice by wearing that cross around your neck. All right? Please.
If I could, you learn to worship that's the execution symbol of our king from that Christian church.
Right.
Your Christian church teaches you to celebrate the blood of Jesus Christ, to rejoice in it.
Right.
When you shouldn't be rejoicing, you should be mourning that Christ had to die for you and be changing because of it. But your Christian church, which you think is so holy and so sanctified, teaches you to rejoice. That's like dancing in a man's blood. You say you love him and you work. Oh, what's that on your chest? Oh, you know what this cross means. This means I'm sealed. I'm holy. You know, I'm one. No, brother. You are wearing the torture device of your king. Or who you say is your king. Right. Someone you say you look up to, who you love. I would tell you this: if I get stabbed, I better not see nobody with a knife on their neck or a knife on their t-shirt after the night. But that's what Christianity teaches you. So like you.
What he said, give him a hand. What he said was so practical. I mean, what he said was absolutely practical. You know what I mean? So I know our brothers is gonna constantly, because we got a fighting spirit, so we're gonna constantly fight. But you know what I mean, consider what we saying, man. Consider what we saying. All right. And the difference is, you said, to your point, you know what I mean, the brother responded and said, I just lost. He said he also was stabbed with a sword. So why have a sword? A sword to Christ is in the Bible. See, that's a good question. You know what I mean? That's a good question. But what you got to understand is, we never use Roman torture devices. We never use crosses, you know what I mean, in war. You know what I mean? A sword isn't strictly a you know what I mean, a device, you know what I mean, against, or to bring shame to our people. A sword is what we use for warfare. It's a symbol of warfare. You know what I mean? What you got to understand is, you know what I mean? What you got to understand is that Christian cross, that cross is a symbol, like the brother said, it is a symbol that was used to humiliate and torture and destroy our king. You know what I mean? Before many, you know what I mean? So you are doing your people and your king a disservice by wearing that cross around your neck. All right. You know what I mean? It's like, go ahead, read verse 23. So we just talked about all the things that were profane of ours, you know what I mean, in our culture. You know what I mean? Our candles, our menorah was profane, and the Ark of the Covenant, or the covenant, which was the evidence of our covenant with the Most High. You know what I mean? All those things was defiled, you know what I mean, and spoiled. Our holy thing was defiled. You know what I mean? Our name, our people, our children were put to shame. You know what I mean? We lost our priesthood was, you know what I mean, looked at as a small thing. Our women and our men were made weak and ravished and destroyed. And go ahead.
Second Esdras chapter 10, verse 23. And which is the greatest of all.
And which is the greatest of all. Go ahead.
The seal of Sion.
The what?
The seal of Sion.
The star of Molech.
Seal of Sion.
Nah, the star of Chian.
Seal of Sion.
The star of Rifran.
Seal of Sion.
The seal of Sion. What you see behind us is the seal of Sion. It is the symbol that represents Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the unification of our nation. Yeah, and the crest, Khan. That's what that is. What you see behind us, that is the seal of Sion, which is the greatest of all the things that we just mentioned before. You know what I mean? Our temple being destroyed, and our candlestick be put out, the Ark of the Covenant being spoiled, and our holy things being defiled. The most important thing was the seal of Sion. Go ahead.
Has now lost her honor.
So now you get scrutinized for wearing the shield of David around your neck. You know what I mean? Instead of people looking at the shield of David, this Magan Dawada, and realizing that is the Hebrew, You know what I mean? King David was a black man. You know what I mean? First of all, so how could this represent anything but a black man? You know what I mean? First of all. And second of all, you know what I mean? That is this prophecy that I'm reading to you right now. Or that is that happening right now. It happened then and it's happening right now. You know what I mean? Our seal of Zion, the seal of Zion, the shield of David has lost its honor. Now, you know what I mean? Instead of us wearing the shield of David, look what I got shared up on the screen. This is a sheriff's badge. You notice anything familiar about this sheriff badge? This is the shield of David. You know what I mean? This is what we wore the shield of David to let people know whose authority we came in. You know what I mean? So when you got a letter coming to your door, or when you got you know what I mean, somebody came and knocked on your door and it was wearing that shield of David, you know what I mean, you had respect to that person, you know what I mean, and knew that he came to mean business, man. He was coming to fix Black, Hispanic, and Native American lives, man. Or he was coming to set things straight, or he was coming to bring judgment, you know what I mean? But you respected that shield of David. You know what I mean? Now, because we have you know what I mean, we have chosen to follow after our oppressor and their gods and their customs, our holy things have become defiled and have been spoiled. You know what I mean? And the shield of David has lost their honor. Go ahead.
For she is delivered unto the hands of them that hate us.
For the seal of Zion, the shield of David is delivered into the hands of them that hate us. Who wears the shield of David now? Like the brother said earlier, the shield of David. Now, when you think of the shield of David or the Magan Dawada, what they call Magan David, uh, you think of the fake Jewish man. You know what I mean? Who has stolen your culture, stolen your identity, and oppresses you every time you claim that you're an Israelite or the Israelites are black. Or you might even suggest that the Israelites, like Kanye said, I'm a Jew too. He didn't even say your oppressor isn't a Jew. He said, I'm Jew too. And he still lost everything. Kyrie Irving, he didn't even say anything. He just shared a documentary. You know what I mean? And he got scrutinized. You know what I mean? Because your shield of David has lost its honor because now instead of you wearing it, now your police force that kills the children of Israel are wearing it. Now your Jew the fake what's the proper thing to say? I don't want to not get shut off. The small hat man. You know what I mean? Now he wears your culture. You know what I mean? You and your culture, your shield of David is delivered into the hands of them that hate you. Salakia, I saw your hand up. You want to bracket?
Yeah, so like yeah, I was gonna say, and again, this precept is like all others in the Bible, right in front of your face today. You can see that just by this example you have on the screen. These sheriff's badges weren't wearing this for no reason. The government of America in the Constitution, they say that they come in the name of God. They say in God we trust. Right. That's why they've symbolized their badges for their police officers after the Magan Dawada or the Shield of David, because they would like to believe that they come in the name of David, in the name of the king that God appoints on earth. And they have not. They have actually abused that power. That's why, and it's just another small example to show you that look, the descendants of the men who wore those badges, their descendants are now saying, "Oh, that's just really the Star of Molech." When your daddy was wearing this, right. The only reason you believe that this is the Star of Molech is because a white supremacist who hates a richer white man told you so. And now, because you're a slave and you love your white daddy, you're going to be his soldier and take on his fight. That's none of your business. You again, if a white man tells you to look down, you should look up. You should just do the opposite. You believe him because of the slave traits passed down through your DNA. You gotta be retaught, brothers and sisters. You have to be retaught. You don't know anything you're talking about, but you do believe it. You do believe it. You have faith in it, if you will. That's what the Christian church teaches you, to have faith in lies. Right. And that to say that this is the star of Molech is a lie. You know what I mean? Unless you believe that America worships Satan. Tell me one or the other. You got to believe one or the other, because the star of Molech is right the symbol of Satan. So does that mean that you believe that police are the agents of Satan? Is that what I'm gonna hear?
That's an excellent question. Of course, nobody answers question. Chat. But I mean, this brother also said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. I mean, I saw this brother put this precept in the chat several times. I mean, I got a question for you. I mean, I doubt you'll answer this one because you answered none of my questions that I've asked, but I'll ask you another one. It's all right. So does that, are you saying that this precept means that we should wear a cross on our neck? What is this talking about? Give me the breakdown. You know what I mean? Until then, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. But I just want to see. Are you saying that this means that we should wear the cross around our neck? We should wear the I got some answers in the chat. This brother said no. I'm assuming this is a brother, but whoever this is, they said no. I agree with that brother or whoever this is. I don't think that that means that we should wear a cross around our neck. So if that's not what it means, if take up your cross doesn't mean put a cross around your neck, because if that's all it meant, because Christ said it right, if that's all it meant, then everybody would, you know what I mean? That's all it take. That's all it would take to, you know what I mean, to be saved, to be Christ like, is just wear a cross around your neck. You taking up your cross, right? But I agree with this person in the chat who said no. I don't think that that's what that means. So what does that mean? J Love, I believe. Put that. What does that mean? To take up your cross. What is Christ trying to tell you? All right. I want you to. I just want you to. I want you to. I want you to answer that question. All right. And maybe if you can answer that question, then you'll be able to understand a little bit of why, you know what I mean? You'll be able to understand a little bit more about why we don't wear the cross around our neck, why we wouldn't dishonor, you know what I mean? Just like you wouldn't dishonor your father if he died with a crack pipe, you know what I mean? You wouldn't wear a crack pipe around your neck, or you wouldn't wear a 45 around your neck to honor Tamir Rice. You know what I mean? You shouldn't wear that Christian cross around your neck. And the Christian, you shouldn't want to represent anything of Christianity in the first place. You know what I mean? You see all the scandals that's coming out with TD Jakes getting swallowed up and all the things that's going on in that Christian church. You see Eddie Long and you know what I mean, you name it. You name your Christian pastor where they doing all sorts of evil things to these children in them Christian churches. And they do the same thing that they do to the young children that get harmed in our household. Instead of dealing with that situation, they'll just move them. They'll just move them around. So now instead of taking them down from their authoritative position, you just move them to a different Christian church. Much like how you know what I mean, the same police officer that took the life of Tamir Rice, you know what I mean, he didn't lose his job, but he did get moved to a different precinct across town. You know what I mean, the same police officers that took the life of Breonna Taylor and you know what I mean, they didn't lose their job, but they did get moved to a different precinct across town. That's how we deal. That's how things are. That's how sexual deviants in the Christian church are treated. You know what I mean? The same people that harm our children and teach us lies. You know what I mean? That steal from us and rob us. You know what I mean? You don't do anything about it. You don't remove them from their seat. You just move them to a different Christian church to hurt people in Georgia. And then when they get caught up in Georgia, you move them to Houston so that they can hurt blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Houston, man. So you know what I mean? That's just a simpler reason why you shouldn't want to even wear a Christian cross around your neck in the first place, because what that Christian cross represents, you know what I mean, not only does it represent the torture, you know what I mean, of blacks, Hispanics, or of a black man, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean, who died for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to come together and love one another and separate from our oppressor. You know what I mean? But it also represents all the LGBTQ and the pedophilia and the abuse that goes on in that Christian church as well. So I would stay far away from that Christian cross. You know what I mean? That's just, you know what I mean, that's just some wisdom. But Salakia. Uh, let's see. Mm, mm, mm. Let me get Second Ezra chapter 5 and verse 23. Unlock you. So you go ahead, just you can go ahead and read it when you got it.
God, the book of Second Esdras, chapter 5, verse 23. And said, O Lord, that bears rule for every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine.
See, what you got to understand is that the Most High has a favorite everything. You know what I mean? Most High has a favorite any everything, and He has separated you from your enemies. He has separated the people that He loves, which is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We're gonna find out here. Well, He separated the people that He loves from the people that He hates. You know what I mean? And the people that He hates is the people who have defiled, you know what I mean, the holy things of Israel, who have, you know what I mean, that we just read about in the second Ezra, the 10th chapter. You know what I mean, that's who He hates. And who He loves are the people who ended up in captivity under those people. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And of all lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit,
Mm-hmm.
and of all the flowers thereof one lily.
All right. So, you know what I mean? The Lord of all the trees, of all the plants of the earth, He has a favorite, and that's the vine, that's the grapevine. And then of all the lands in the world, He has chosen one pit. I believe that's Jerusalem. You know what I mean? Go ahead, read on. And of all the flowers thereof, one lily. That's why not only do we wear the shield of David, the seal of Zion, you know what I mean, which the most, you know what I mean, which represents the children that the Most High loves, but that's why you'll see us wearing the fleur de lis as well, which let me find the fleur de lis real quick. But that's why we wear that as well, because that is a lily. You know what I mean? That's the Most High's favorite flower. How you spell fleur? There you go. Go ahead, read on.
Come. Verse 25. And of,
The water.
and of all the depth of the sea,
Uh-huh.
thou hast filled thee one river.
One river. That's the river Jordan. Go ahead. The
And
Most
of
High has a favorite. Go ahead.
and of all built cities, thou hast hollowed Sion unto thyself.
He is hallowed what?
Sion
That's
unto thyself.
that's that Sion. That's the holy city. You know what I mean? That's where it's like the seal of Zion that we just read in Second Ezra's the 10th chapter. You know what I mean? That's what that's talking about. Go ahead.
Verse 26. And of all the fowls that are created, thou hast named thee one dove.
You know, even amongst the birds and the trees and the water and the land, there is no equality. You know what I mean? So that shows you, like we just read in Second Ezra, the 10th chapter. You know what I mean? The Most High loves the people of Israel. You know what I mean? Who wear the seal of Zion, who it belongs to. But the problem is, this seal of Zion has ended up in the hands of the wrong people, who the Most High hates. You know what I mean? The Most High love. There is no equality amongst anything in the world. You know what I mean? So there's no equality amongst the birds. There's no equality amongst the plants. There's no equality amongst the water or the land. There is no equality amongst the people. He has chosen blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and He has chosen to separate us from every other nation on this earth, man. And that's why they destroy you. That's why you know what I mean, they destroy your holy things, and they profane your you know what I mean, the ark of your covenant, and they put out the fire of your candlestick, the menorah. You know what I mean? That's why the shield of David ended up in the hands of our oppressor in the first place, man. The only way that we're gonna be able to take back our culture is to, you know what I mean, just that, is take it back. You know what I mean? You can't be afraid to wear the shield of David because your oppressor is associated with it. You know what I mean? What you do is put that shield of David around your neck and on your headpiece and on all your garments, and you go to war to take back your culture, man. Because the Most High chose you, and this is the symbol that represents you, who is the Lord's favorite people. You know what I mean? But you can't cower. You can't cower to. You know what I mean? You can't cower to You can't cower to the lies that your oppressor taught you to keep you from coming back to your culture. You know what I mean? Salakia. Go ahead, read on.
Kona Khan, and of all the cattle that are made, thou has provided thee one sheep.
Uh-huh.
Verse 27. And among all the multitude of people, thou hast gotten thee one people.
That has gotten me one people. Go ahead.
And unto unto this people whom thou lovest, thou givest a law that is approved of all.
He gave us one, or he chose one people amongst all people. You know what I mean? He chose to put his covenant in us. He chose to give us these laws, statutes, and commandments, and he chose to give us this. You know what I mean? To put King David over the nation of Israel, man, and to put King Solomon over the nation of Israel to unify these nations. You know what I mean? To be wise kings over us, man. He chose to, you know what I mean, put these priests and prophets over the nation of Israel. You know what I mean? To keep us, you know what I mean, to give us our culture, to keep us from falling into captivity under these other nations, to warn us when we were in captivity under these other nations, or when we were following these false idols, when we were following these nations and in danger of being destroyed. He gave us these prophets to warn us, you know what I mean, that if we don't turn away from our evil, you know what I mean, the Lord will destroy us. You know what I mean? And he gave us them prophets to give us the opportunity to change the Most High's mind. You know what I mean? Let me get so lucky I just lost it. Okay. Real quick, let me get the book of go to the book of Esther, Esther chapter 8 and verse 8. Book of Esther chapter 8 and verse 8. Now, and it's not far fetched for us to, you know what I mean? It's not far fetched for a king to have a signature. You know what I mean? For a king to have a seal or a stamp. You mind pulling up a stamp like the wax stamp? But it's not far fetched, you know what I mean, for a king, you know what I mean, a ruler of a nation to have a stamp to to show, you know what I mean, again, like we just saw that what's it called? That sheriff's badge, you know what I mean? That lets you know, you know what I mean, that they have the authority, you know what I mean, they come in authority of the American police system. You know what I mean? That's why they come to your door with that badge or with that warrant. You know what I mean? That's why when you get a warrant sent to your house, it got that that court seal in the corner or that watermark on it that lets you know who is coming to arrest you. You know what I mean? Who's and whose authority or what nation's authority is coming to your door to arrest you, or who is pulling you over. You know what I mean? And whose authority. So it's not a far fetched thing for, you know what I mean, a king to have a signature. You know what I mean? And that's all this Magan Dawada is. It's just us like you mind handing me that, you mind wiping off that small board real quick and then handing me a marker? God, yeah. Yeah, they didn't had their way with it. But what you'll it's that's all the shield of David is. You know what I mean? It's just a signature of King David. It's the Magan Dawada is just King David's name. What you see behind me is just an artful way to, you know what I mean, to write out the King David's name. That's why it's called the Shield of David. All right. Kind whichever one works, it really don't matter as long as it works. But for you to understand the Shield of David, you got to understand a little bit of Hebrew. All right, so we're gonna do a little Hebrew lesson. All right. Lashawan Fadash, you know what I mean? You want to get into it a little bit deeper, tune in every Friday, 7 to 9. You know what I mean? All right. So Dawada, right? This is how you spell King David's name in the Hebrew, in the ancient Hebrew. Da wa da. I hope you can see this. You know what I mean? But there we go. So you gotta, yeah, Dawada. All right. That's how you spell King David, right? That's how you spell David, right? Magun is just a Hebrew word that means shield. All right. So that's where you get Magan Dawada from. All right. Simple as that. Now this triangle right here, thought that would work a little better. The water. Yeah, I got some at the crib. I gotta bring them through. All right, so this is just a da, right? This triangle looking thing, that is a da in the Lashon Kodash in the ancient Hebrew. All right. What you see on this banner right here, on this you know what I mean, on them drapes back there, on this shield behind me, is just a da and an inverted da on top of it. That's how you get the shield of David. And when you put it together like that, that makes the shield or that makes the signature of King David. So just like what we're about to read here in Esther chapter 8 and verse 8 is exactly what King David used to show, you know what I mean? If you saw a messenger coming to your door or coming through your neighborhood and he had that shield on or he had that symbol on, you knew that he came in the authority of King David because that was his signature. You know what I mean? Same with if you got a message or a letter or a scroll or whatever the case is with that same signet on it. Usually a king back in that time, we're gonna see it here. Usually a king in that time will have a ring or a stamp with the signet on it. You know what I mean? And that's how he would seal his messages that he would send you. So when you got that when you got that sealed scroll or that letter to your door and it had that wax seal, you know that that came in the authority. You know that that came from the king or whoever was in authority at that time. You mind putting that image up for me, and then you can read that Esther real quick.
Esther chapter 8, verse 8. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring.
And do what? So read that for the top again.
Verse 8. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name.
And whose name?
The king's name.
Go ahead.
And seal it with the king's ring.
And seal it with the king's ring. Why is that important? Because that's how you know in whose authority this message or this decree or this law that's being put out is coming from. You know what I mean? That's how you know where that's coming from. You know what I mean? So again, when you see that letter come to your door, when you see that law you know what I mean, being passed or whatever the case is, I believe I can't remember the context here. Let me see. But in the book of Esther, you know what I mean, Haman was trying to get the entire to get all the Jews unalived because Mordecai refused to bow to this heathen. You know what I mean? And when Haman told King Ahasuerus this, you know what I mean, he sent a decree out and he was like, all right, you know what I mean, whoever what Haman wanted to get them all unalived, and Ahasuerus was like, all right, bet. You know what I mean? If that's what you feel like is a just punishment for what these people, the disrespect that they done, you know what I mean? Go ahead, put that decree out. And that decree went out in the king's name. You know what I mean? Fast forward to Esther, you know what I mean? He revealed that this you know what I mean, he revealed that Haman was gonna do this evil thing to the people of the children of her people. You know what I mean? Because Esther was one of the 12 tribes of Israel. So she revealed that Haman was going to do this evil thing, and King Ahasuerus reversed that decree and sent out, you know what I mean? He sent out a new decree in the king's name, you know what I mean? And this is how you knew what came from the king and whose authority it came in. Read that again, Baba Kasha.
Hong Kong, the book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 8. Write ye also for the Jews, as it like you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring.
That's how you knew. He wrote, he and he wrote the decree in the king's name and sealed it with the king's ring. So you knew it was official. He put that stamp of, you know what I mean? He put a stamp on it. Go ahead.
For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse.
That's the whole point of this shield of David. That's the whole point of the Magan Dawada. It is not first of all, it's not a star, it's not a ball of gas in the sky, and it's not a chief representation of something. You know what I mean? Like Christ is, or like Caesar Borgia is in the Christian church. You know what I mean? Like Muhammad is for the Muslims. You know what I mean? Like Buddha is for, you know what I mean, or Confucius or Khan. Yeah, it's not an idol. You know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? It's a symbol that you see to let you know whose authority this is coming from, to let you know who these people are, to let you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what that's for. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. Please.
If I could, yeah, it's imagine a stamp from the constable.
Right.
Imagine a presidential stamp on a new bill of legislation. That's exactly what this is talking about, literally like that.
Right.
The stamp of the Congress, or the stamp of the president, or the stamp of the Supreme Court saying these are the new rules to be upheld in this country, in the king's oversight. That is what the Magan Dawada is basically the seal or the signature of the king that God established in the nation of Israel. But you know, your oppressor would have you believe that it is now some symbol to worship Satan. Satanists use 5-pointed stars. I don't Have you ever talked to a Satanist? Have you ever even just Googled have you ever just watched TV? I watch TV, you know, CW. Don't even need cable to have CW. They have a show called Supernatural. They don't ever draw this symbol unless they trying to unless they what do they draw when they trying to summon demons? 5-pointed symbols. But now, because there is a political agenda, there's been a political agenda for like the last 70 years against Jewish people, because other white influential people who were not Jewish dislike Jewish people, who stole this symbol from the true Israelites of the Bible. They said they demonized it, just like how they demonized everything else that is black.
Right.
They demonized the way we talk, the way we dress, just us in general. That's why when you close your eyes and I tell you to imagine a thief, you think of somebody black, because this society has tarnished our image. You brought that up earlier in the last precept. They've destroyed our image, and this is just another level of that. You're gonna have to really take a step back, take the fantasy off of the Bible. This is not some magical symbol. This isn't something you write on the ground when you're trying to do a love potion spell on your ex-boyfriend or whatever. This is just something that was used in legitimate business in the nation. Salaki.
And if I just to add to that, you know what I mean? It's just as it's like I forgot what I was about to, I didn't lost my point. Please go ahead. Please, most on Christ.
Just to add to the point, you know what I'm saying? Like what you said earlier, like this is King David's name is signet. Just proves this has always been our culture. This is 1 Kings 21. I don't know if you got this.
I've got it, but I'm probably going. I'm not going. You
okay, okay. This is 1 Kings 21 and verse 8. And she wrote in the letters, so like 21 and verse 8. So she wrote in the letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters and the elders and to the nobles that were in his city dwelling with Naboth. So it's just proven that we've always had our name and our signet and our seals, you know what I'm saying, to represent us as a people. So like,
right. What the brother said was absolutely correct. I mean, it's not uncommon. You know what I mean, for a ruler to have a seal to represent, you know what I mean, his authority over his people. You know what I mean? And for those who call the what's it called, the shield of David satanic, you would just have to you would just have to understand what makes something satanic. Like it's not satanic just because you know what I mean, uh some poor oppressor, you know what I mean, wants to try to attack some rich oppressor and try to start some war. You know what I mean? Try to start some battle. You know what I mean? That's not what makes something satanic. What makes something satanic is if it goes directly against the Bible. That is the only thing that makes something satanic. You know what I mean? So that just takes the religion and the mysticism off of what you call satanic. Is if it goes against the Bible, that's satanic. You know what I mean? We talking about the shield of David. Everybody talking about the shield of David satanic. So somebody in this chat, I won't say their name, but somebody in the chat said, love everybody. That is satanic. What's that? Matthew 15, or where it says, I am not sent but on the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Huh. That's satanic. You know how I know that loving everyone is say, as a matter of fact, I am gonna air you. Let me see. Put you on the thing real quick. Love everyone, especially your enemies. Ooh, who are your enemies, first of all? Please. This is, you know, you want to know how I know what this person just said is satanic, and I, you know what I mean, I don't know if you're a brother or sister or whether you're oppressor or not. You would just have to let me know. You know what I mean? But I do want you to understand something, that what you're saying is satanic because it goes directly against the scriptures. You know what I mean? Go ahead, read what you got.
The book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent.
Wait, what color are these words?
This is in red.
In red. What does that mean when scriptures are in red? Uh, well, I want somebody in the chat to let me know what it means when the scriptures are in red. I'll tell you. That means Christ is speaking. This is coming out of the mouth of Christ. You know what I mean? This is how you know loving everyone is satanic. Go ahead.
From the top. To the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
I am sent to everybody.
To the house sheep of Israel.
I am sent to love everybody, especially your enemies.
To the lost sheep of Israel.
He is not sent. Christ himself said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Let me get Romans 9 and 13. There's another example of how what you just said is satanic. You know what I mean? This shield of David is a very, you know what I mean? It's a very simple thing to understand. Like the brothers, you know what I mean? The brothers been saying all night, man. It is not uncommon for a ruler to have some sort of stamp or signet to represent his authority. You know what I mean? So when he sends a messenger, you know that came from the authority of whatever king is ruling. You know what I mean? Ahasuerus used a signet. You know what I mean? He had a stamp. He sealed his messages with the king's ring, like the brother just brought out in First King, the 21st chapter. You know what I mean? The rulers of Israel had the same signet. You know what I mean? It's not uncommon. You know what I mean? This shield of David is not satanic, but you know what it is? Loving everyone. Like David Nemo or whoever the hell says. That is satanic. Because this is how you know it's satanic. Go ahead, read.
The book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 13. As it is written.
As it is written, meaning that this was written before. This was written in the Old Testament. Go ahead.
Jacob have I loved.
Jacob have I loved. Go ahead. So go ahead.
But Esau have I hated.
Now this person David wants you to love everybody. You know how I know that that's satanic? Read that again.
As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
You know how I know that that's satanic? Because we just read in the book of Second Esdras, I believe in the 5th chapter, the Most High doesn't love everyone. That's how I know that that's satanic, because the Most High has his favorite. He doesn't love every tree. Of all the plants, of all the trees, he loves the vine. Of all the rivers, he loves the Jordan. Of all the land, he loves Jerusalem. Of all the people of the earth, he loves Zion. Of all the four-footed beasts, he loves the sheep. The Lord doesn't love everybody. That's how you know that loving everybody is satanic. That's what's satanic. So if you want to figure out what's satanic and stay away from it, you know what I mean? Figure out what the Lord hates and what the Lord loves, and love what he loves and hate what he hates, man. You know what I mean? Until you get that under your belt, until you can understand that, then you know what I mean. Then you won't. You know what I mean? The shield of David is the least of your worries. You know what I mean? As far as like trying to battle, you know what I mean? That's the least of your worries. Start off with what the Lord loves and finding out what the Lord hates, and that's where you find out what's satanic. And if you want to learn more about it, ask these priests and prophets. You know what I mean? In the ISUPK. You know what I mean? You see that what's it called? You see that QR code in the corner. Go ahead, scan that QR code and get in that WhatsApp chat and ask your questions, man. You know what I mean? Get in these classes instead of trying to teach like this you know what I mean, like many people do foolishly. Like we said, before you could teach, like I said in Isaiah and in Hebrew, before you could teach, you gotta be taught, man. So instead of trying to get in this chat trying to teach and making a fool of yourself because you weren't listening this entire class and making a fool of yourself, come and ask questions. Come and ask questions and you'll be able to learn something. You know what I mean? Like, share, subscribe to the class, you know what I mean, to the channel. You know what I mean? Spread this truth, man. Or if you think that we full of shit, you know what I mean, put it out there too. And you know what I mean, just share it. I don't care. Share it. Just share it. You know what I mean? Please go ahead.
Yeah, if I could, I see a lot of people in the chat. This is mostly directed towards them. If you think you're so big and bad and you know so much, I've seen a lot of some cats who found out they was Israelites last week,
Right,
trying
yeah,
to
last
teach,
night.
last night, trying to get in the comments talking to us like we don't look. If you think you know what you're talking about, what you know, I'm gonna be your brother. You don't know what you're talking about. You should go ahead and scan that barcode, scan that code up in the top right, top left, whatever. You should also find us on TikTok. We'll go live. We could go live together, brother. We could talk about it for real. Look, we don't back down from fades. We gonna meet you wherever you're at. You know what I mean? And I encourage everybody here to log on, follow us. You will, you know, we could if you're so brave, if you're so mighty, if you're not just a keyboard warrior. You understand what I'm saying? You know, I would encourage you to do that. Otherwise, let your faith be as weak as your comments. So
And if I could just add that I'm willing to bet that you know what I mean all the people in the chat that was commenting I'm willing to bet that they're just keyboard warriors. That's where I'm putting my money, where I'm putting my chips. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean. You feel free to prove me wrong. Feel free to you know what I mean. Do what the brother said. Get in them if you feel like you really the defender of the truth. You know what I mean? Challenges, get to it. But I'm willing to bet that, you know what I mean, this battle, your zeal to try to come up against the ISUPK is going to die as soon as we end this stream. Oh, yeah. Good night.
select.
Good night. No, you absolutely correct. I just saw that. Look, well, this ain't the Hebrew. I ain't gonna go into it, but look, like we read in the book of Isaiah, the 28th chapter, and Hebrews, the 5th chapter. Before you can teach, you got to be taught. And there's a lot of people, like the brother just said, who found out they was an Israelite 20 minutes ago and got in the chat. You know what I mean? Got in the chat, and now you're a teacher. I got a feeling, you know what I mean? I got a sneaking suspicion that all that zeal in your chest is gonna die as soon as I hit this end stream button. You know what I mean? God, yep, that zeal gonna leave, and that's that flame that was just in your chest to come up against the prophets of the Lord. That flame gonna go right into that blunt, and you're gonna be high. God, you know what I mean? And that's just that. You know what I mean? I pray for better for you though, brother. If you're a brother, you know what I mean? If you're a heathen, if you know what I mean, you're an oppressor, you in any of the nations that are not in the 12 tribes of Israel, you know what I mean? If you're a heathen, you know what I mean, smoke to your heart's content because your kingdom is falling. So I encourage you to get high. You should get up as high as you can because your kingdom is falling. But if you're a brother, I pray for better for you. I pray that you aren't what I suspect you are, that you're just a keyboard warrior. I pray that you're better than that. And I pray that you do have some zeal. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with having that fight, but I pray that that zeal doesn't die. after we hit this stream, after this, you know what I mean? After I know it's gonna happen, but you know what I mean? I'm gonna pray the opposite anyway. Salaki, you had your hand up? No, please.
To the listening audience, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 1. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil.
Damn, that's so heavy. Did you want to elaborate on that, or
Yeah. When you come in here and like the brother said earlier, you know what I'm saying, with the improperly spelled Hebrew name, these men in here are studied. You understand? So you should shut your mouth and learn something first and figure out what the hell it is we're talking about
right?
before you come against the prophets. You know what I'm saying? So like,
No, that's the point right there. Like you should absolutely at least find out what you're battling. Like you just come up in here just putting stuff in the chat. You don't even know what the hell we talking about. So you come in here talking about oh, that's a star of David. I just read the precept that says stars are circles and that this isn't a star. You talking about God loves everybody, you should love everybody. I just read the precept that said that God doesn't love everybody. I just read the precept, but you weren't here for that. And you didn't hear it. You didn't hear the breakdown because, like the brother just said, you should be more you should come ready to listen so that you can, if you're going to battle me, at least know what you're battling. But you just stabbing in the dark, you're going to lose every time because I can see you. But you know what I mean? There are no actual questions or relevant comments in the chat. I'm going to say again, like, share, subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? Scan that QR code. You know what I mean? All of that. With that, I madium, which means the stand. Give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Individual Mother Shabbat. I madium. Barak. Yahweh, Yahweh, Shabbat, Yadimata, Zor, perfect. Give courtesy salute. Individual Mother Shabbat. I madium. Barak. Yahweh, Shema, Lataba, Shem Yahweh Shah. Yadimata.